15 years after the world ended, a boy named Maru is walking through a dead city with a girl named Kiruko, who insists everyone call her Sis, and a gun that's already down to its last few working shots. They're looking for a place called Heaven. Neither of them knows where it is. Neither of them knows what it looks like. All Maru knows is that he has to get there. Back in a sealed-off school, far from any of that, a girl named Tokyo is about to fail a pop quiz nobody warned him about. Both of these stories are about to collide. But first, let's actually watch them happen. It starts with a test day nobody saw coming. The kids in Tokyo's class find out with about 15 minutes notice, and one of them, completely straight-faced, stands up and says, "I'd like to object. Aren't you supposed to give us time to study?" Truly a legal argument for the ages. The teacher isn't moved. You probably would have failed anyway. There's a girl in this class named Mimiheim who seems to just know things before they happen. She'd been staring out a window earlier, distracted, and somehow she wasn't even surprised about the test. Nobody questions it much. When you're entire world is one building and 9 classmates, the quiet girl has hunches sometimes, barely even registers as strange. Meanwhile, out in the ruins, Maru and Kiruko break into a house that looks untouched. Windows barely cracked, front door still locked. Inside, it's a jackpot by Wasteland standards. An unopened package of toilet paper gets treated like buried treasure. A working toothbrush earns actual excitement. They find canned food, and Sis, feeling generous, tosses in a handful of weeds she found growing outside. Figuring the extra fiber couldn't hurt, it's disgusting. Maru spits it out immediately, and Kiruko pretends to be offended, even though she clearly knew it was a gamble. That was the only canned food they had. Small, dumb, human bickering in a house where, if you look closely, the people who used to live there died quietly of starvation years ago. The show doesn't dwell on it. It just lets that detail sit there, in the background, while these two argue about seasoning. That night, Maru asks Sis if she's ever going to just go home. She tells her the truth. She's not really looking for a place so much as 2 people, an old friend, and a doctor. 2 birds with 1 stone, he says. Sis doesn't push for more. She just says good night and means it. The next stretch of road is where things turn dangerous fast. A gang of scavengers spot them walking the train tracks and decide 2 teenagers with supplies are an easy score. The leader, a guy who genuinely refers to himself as Big Papa, tells Kiruko to drop her bag and come with him to Heaven. Maru, without missing a beat, informs the gang that he's also a man, which throws the whole group into confused chaos for a second. Kiruko pulls a gun. The gang laughs, right up until she actually fires it, and one of them clocks that it's real. One sneers right before she puts a bullet close enough to change his mind completely. They scatter, and just for a second, before they're fully clear, one of the thugs comes back swinging, and it turns into a real scramble. Kiruko shoving Maru behind her, snapping not so fast as the guy grabs for her bag, and Maru finally landing a hit that actually connects. But it's not over. The gang leader corners them again at their hideout, and this time the threat is blunt. "I could kill you right now and it would be totally justified." No bluff. No joke in his voice. For one tense stretch, Kiruko and Maru are completely outnumbered, outarmed, and stuck negotiating for their lives over a generator. They talk their way into charging Kiruko's gun battery, promise to leave the second it's full, and somehow walk out without a single shot fired on either side, which, considering how the conversation started, is basically a miracle. Before they leave, Kiruko asks the group, half sarcastic, half desperate, if anyone's heard of a place called Heaven. One of the old men mentions a spot out in the country people call Tomato Heaven, and that's it. That's the whole lead. 2 kids walking towards salvation, because a guy they almost got into a gunfight with likes tomatoes. Back at the school, the test question that actually matters isn't on the paper at all. Afterward, Mimiheim corners Tokyo and asks, "You said something about the outside during the test, right?" And Tokyo quietly admits she doesn't fully know why she said it. He just felt it, a pull towards somewhere past the walls he's never seen. Mimiheim assumes she means the garden. Tokyo corrects her, "Not here. I mean, outside this wall." That night, alone, unable to sleep, Tokyo finally asks the director the question directly. "Is there an outside, like, beyond this one?" Her answer is calm, and it should not be. As a matter of fact, yes. However, it's a filthy, decrepit world crawling with monsters. It's hell, said gently, like a bedtime story. And Tokyo just accepts it because it's the only answer she's ever been given. Out in the wasteland, exhaustion finally catches up to Kiruko. "I can't walk anymore," she announces, dead serious, after they've spent days climbing mountains and sleeping outdoors with nothing to eat. Maru, unimpressed, points out they're basically the same age. "You're 15, right?" "I think so." "You?" "I'm 18. "Wait, no, I'm 20. Kiruko genuinely cannot keep her own age straight, which is a deeply reassuring quality in the one adult responsible for keeping you alive. They find a lit house at the edge of the ruins, an inn somehow still running, somehow still stocked, kept by a woman living out there completely alone. Kiruko trades money and batteries for a room. While they settle in, she flips through the guest book, scanning for 2 names. Have either of these guys ever come by? Robin Inazaki. What about the older one, the one with the scar? The innkeeper shakes her head, doesn't ring a bell. Sis just nods and closes the book like she already expected that answer. Over dinner, the innkeeper mentions, almost as an afterthought, afterthought that a man-eater prowls the area at night and that a gun case in the corner is there for exactly that reason. Kiruko and Maru offer to kill it for her, free of charge, like it's nothing. Kiruko explains, "I have a gun, it doesn't work like a normal gun. Bullets don't touch a man-eater, but her weapon does." She calls it the Kiru beam. The innkeeper doesn't quite catch it at first. Maru, sitting right there, doesn't hold back. "The way you name stuff is stupid." Kiruko tells him to drop it, clearly a little embarrassed, and then, misreading the closeness between the two of them completely, the innkeeper gently suggests that having a child together might be dangerous, given how alike Maru and Kiruko look in the face. Maru nearly chokes. Kiruko is furious. "Look, you got it all wrong. I know he calls me sis, but look at our faces. These aren't even slightly related. And we are not dating." She spells it out syllable by syllable. They're co-workers, she's his bodyguard, and he is, in her exact words, nothing to me beyond an object of my protection. Which is a brutal thing to say directly to the kid standing next to you, but she means every word of it, mostly because she has a much bigger secret she's not ready to explain yet. Out at the inn, that peace does not last nearly as long. In the middle of the night, the innkeeper drugs Maru and Kiruko's drinks and locks them in their room, not out of malice, but out of desperation, to keep them out of a fight she already knows is coming. They break out through the bathroom, and the second they're outside, the man-eater is already there, waiting. It's fast and it fights dirty. 3 separate whip-like limbs, each one needing multiple hits before it even slows down. Kiruko counts it out loud, mid-fight. 3 and 3 is 6, you're way short on bullets, while Maru scrambles for an angle. And every single exchange comes with the very real possibility that one of them loses an arm if the timing's off by even a second. It's not a clean fight, it's messy and loud, and neither of them looks fully in control of it until the very end. Then the innkeeper comes screaming out of the house, throwing herself between them and the creature. "This monster is my son," she explains, sobbing that her boy Yuto was taken by a man-eater once before, and somehow she believes he's still in there, that the creature became him instead of eating him, that he still recognizes her, still protects her. Kiruko doesn't sugarcoat it. "I don't think the ones who are eaten get to take over the bodies." Flat, certain, and considering everything we're about to learn about her, that answer costs her more than she lets on, and neither of them ever tells the grieving mother what they actually suspect happened to her. Then Maru kills that man-eater using his power, such that when he touches the man-eater with his bare hands, Maru can penetrate through the man-eater, going into some spiritual kind of inner place within it and crush its heart-like center. The very next morning, back at the school, jealousy breaks out over something as small as a drawing. Kona had promised a sketch of a fish with arms to Tokyo, then handed it to a younger kid named Kuku instead, and Tokyo is not having it. "Why should I? He promised that one would be mine." Kona apologizes, promises to draw her something new, and peace is restored in about 90 seconds. The kind of conflict that only exists in a world small enough for it to feel like a real crisis. The road afterward is quieter. They build a rickety raft to cross a stretch of water crawling with saltwater crocodiles. Kiruko's confidence in the construction summed up as, "This rules. I can't believe we got this to work," which is not exactly an engineering certification. Somewhere on that crossing, they finally reach the farm commune everyone's been calling Tomato Heaven. It's real. Fields stretching further than either of them has seen since Tokyo. A whole community that walked away from the old world on purpose and built something calm out of dirt and sunlight. Then Kiruko asks Maru straight up if there's anything he hasn't told her yet. Maru admits there is, pulls out a syringe he's been keeping hidden this whole trip, full of medicine, sealed, waiting. He explains it's meant for someone who apparently looks exactly like him, and that he's supposed to find that person and inject him with it the moment he does. He believes the person is somewhere inside heaven itself, which is exactly why finding heaven matters so much to him. As for what happens after the injection, he genuinely doesn't know, only that it's supposed to cure the man's sickness. He adds almost as an afterthought that Mikura, the woman who gave him this whole mission before she died, told him it would help everyone, but never explained how. Beyond that, he tells Kiruko flatly he knows exactly as much as she does. Then they meet Kusakabe, who runs the place with his wife Momoko, explains it plainly. His father started it with a handful of people who were done pretending society still worked. For about 5 minutes it looks like the search might actually be over. Then a man at the commune locks eyes with Kiruko and gasps, "It's really you!" Kiriko Takahaya, the electro kart racer. He remembers the disappearance. The rumors that Kiriko killed her own brother in a crash and vanished from guilt. Kiriko denies it instantly, flat and practiced. "You're mistaken," but her face doesn't sell it, and neither does her voice. That same evening, Maru at the cargo ships up the nerve to confess his feelings to her outright, and gets shut down as gently as a person holding a mostly empty gun can manage. And in the middle of untangling herself from that mess, she finally says the sentence she's been circling this entire journey. "I know I have the body of a woman, but in here, my mind, everything about who I actually am, is a man's. I'm a man." Just said flat out loud because she is simply too tired to keep hiding it. To actually understand what that sentence means, you have to go back 5 years, to a version of this person who wasn't running from man-eaters at all. She was racing them. Haruki and his sister Kiriko grew up as electrokart racers in old Tokyo Tokyo, raised by a guardian named Robin in orphanage after the great disaster took their parents. Robin taught Haruki how to fight before he ever taught him how to drive. Whenever you get in a fight, don't look your opponent in the eyes. Cowards glare to psych you out. Look at their collar instead. Feel the ground under you. Keep solid footing. Simple advice that Haruki clung to for years afterward, in fights that had nothing to do with racing at all. Kiruko was the star, fast, fearless, a minor local celebrity with fans who genuinely kept her photo. Robin was overprotective of both of them, but especially her. He'd lost his own little sister around that same age, during the disaster, and some part of him never fully recovered from it. Then, during one of Kiruko's races, the man-eater that's been prowling the district drifts loose near the track, not hiding, not stalking, just gliding invisibly into a packed shopping arcade while the race is barreling straight toward it. Haruki, watching from the sidelines with his gun, doesn't wait for it to become someone else's problem. He tracks it into the arcade alone, gets a hit in, and then it grabs him. He's screaming for help while the race commentary keeps rolling right over him, obliviously announcing that Takahaya Kiruko is in the lead, heading straight into that same arcade, into the exact blind spot where the broadcast is about to lose visual entirely. Kiruko gets there, but by the time they reaches him, Haruki is already fading, calling out for his sister with whatever voice he has left, while Kiruko is screaming for a doctor, except she wakes up, alive, body intact, but she isn't Kiruko anymore. She's Haruki, somehow transplanted, somehow trapped inside his sister's body, grieving his own death while a hospital full of relieved adults keeps calling him by his sister's name. Imagine waking up, looking in a mirror, and watching someone else's face say your name back at you, over and over, while everyone insists you're wrong about who you are. The doctor who performed the surgery that saved that body vanishes almost immediately afterward. Convenient. Suspiciously, aggressively convenient. Haruki spends the next 4.5 months just healing enough to walk, then years after that hunting for answers, for the doctor, and for Robin, who disappeared not long after too, last seen investigating whatever conspiracy was already closing in around all of them. By the time Haruki finally finds someone who remembers Robin at all, the answer is a shrug and a guess. Probably murdered, sometime last year, tangled up in something he shouldn't have gone near. No body, no proof, just an empty orphanage and a doctor who packed up and vanished right along with it. There's no way, Haruki tells himself, standing in the wreckage of the only home he ever had. He has to be out there somewhere. 4 years of drifting from job to job followed, always half hoping the next town, the next lead, might finally connect back to Robin, right up until a routine security gig introduces him to a kid named Maru, heading toward a place called Heaven, and something about that destination feels like it might be worth chasing too. And that's exactly where the story catches back up to the present, on a boat sailing quietly through the dark, with Maru finally hearing the entire thing at once, start to finish, for the first time. When it's over, Maru doesn't know what to say for a second, then he asks carefully, "Would you prefer if I stopped calling you sis?" Kiruko almost laughs. "That's all? Don't worry about it, you've been calling me that for a month now. Pretty sure we're both used to it." Then, quieter, more serious. "But listen, you have to think of me as a man now." Maru admits he can't adjust that fast, fumbles through an attempt to be supportive. "You're a pretty good looking kid. I'm sure you'll find another girl." And Kiruko just stares at him, completely done. "I've got a guy brain up here too, remember?" It's in that same conversation that Maru finally gets a straight answer about the photograph he's been carrying, the one connected to Robin's face. Kiruko explains they grew up together, practically family, and that Robin is someone he still deeply admires. Maru, still not quite grasping it, keeps trying to read something romantic into it, until Kiruko just gives up trying to explain and tells him to go to sleep. That night, something else slides across the outside of the window, wet, dragging, gone before either of them can get a clear look. There was a huge fish or something crawling out there, and whatever it was, it's the reason the water on the outside of the glass is soaking wet, even though it isn't raining. Back at the school, a small squabble breaks out over one of Kona's drawings, a sketch of a baby. He's already promised it to Tokyo, which sets off a round of "well, can I have the next one?" Cuckoo gets scolded separately for climbing on the tables again, a repeat offense apparently, and gets pulled aside by Tokyo. "Stop annoying Kona already." Someone clarifies that whatever Cuckoo said about the drawings wasn't meant as an insult. "I was telling him I like him," she insists, before adding, almost as a throwaway line, that real babies don't actually look anything like Kona's doodles. No normal face, just one big eye. "Wanna go see one with me?" That casual invitation is the whole problem. Cuckoo and Tokyo go looking, and what they find back there, rows of these faceless, single-eyed infants, tucked away somewhere they clearly weren't meant to wander into, trip something in the building itself. Intruder detected. Intruder detected. The sanctum. Alarms everywhere. The two of them bolt back out before anyone catches them, and by the time staff sweep the area, there's nothing to find. The director tells everyone within earshot it was probably just a glitch in the system. Nothing to worry about. Tokyo and Kona exchange a look and quietly let out a breath, relieved it apparently wasn't traced back to them, without either of them stopping to ask what exactly they'd just seen. And at the same time, they were not detected in cameras also. On the ship, the danger stops being subtle at all. The man-eater from the water finds its way onto the vessel and the fight turns frantic, the captain barging in mid-crisis, Kiruko firing what bullets she has left before admitting flatly that she's out, doors that won't seal, and 30 minutes still left before they can even reach shore. Maru notices the thing is covered head to tail in a thick layer of lubricant, like a suit, and realizes that's the key. Dry it out, and it loses whatever lets it move and strike. The plan is simple and insane at once. Don't fight it in the open. Trap it somewhere maze-like. Force it to burn through that coating trying to catch them. They end up herding it through cramped cargo corridors, climbing over crates, slamming through a door that turns out to have never been locked at all, straight into a storage room packed with produce, and as it turns out an enormous hidden stash of dried plant material the crew had clearly been keeping to themselves. The creature gets tangled in it, disoriented, drying out fast, and goes from apex predator to barely moving in under a minute. And Maru killed that man-eater using his powers called the Maru Touch, named after him by Kiruko, was funnier than any clinical term that could have been used for it. Afterward, Kiruko offers Maru one piece of advice that sounds like it came from somewhere much older than her actual body. You should never focus solely on your opponent in a fight. If you want to win, you have to stay calm and examine your surroundings. That's how I've survived this long. Anyway, advice that clearly didn't come from a 20-year-old or an 18-year-old, whichever one she's claiming to be that week. Once they reach shore, the crew they saved offers them money as thanks, which they turn down. We were also saving ourselves, and instead ask about the area and about a bird symbol embroidered into gun. One of the sailors recognizes it instantly, the Mitsuba logo, says there's a destroyed Mitsuba building not far down the road if they want to check it out. They're also offered a standing job as bodyguards and turn that down too, politely, already moving on before the sailors can even finish being impressed by them. That night they find an abandoned book bag stuffed with packaged food and an umbrella, and Kiruko, delighted, cooks up a pancake made from the least likely looking ingredients available, naming it after herself on the spot. We should give it a name. It's Yukan, and I made it with the pan, so Yupan. Maru points out that's an awful pun. It's still delicious. She can only make it once, and both of them are disproportionately upset about that. Then something clicks, or rather refuses to. Cargo ship stares at the exact same Mitsuba symbol, and insists it's connected to a memory she can't fully pull back into focus. A photograph she once had and lost somewhere between one town and the next. I'm so dumb. I should have burned that image onto the inside of my eye the second I saw it. Whatever that photo actually was, it's clearly not just nostalgia. It's a thread she's been quietly chasing this entire time, underneath everything else. Back at the school, Shiro finally admits what's been eating at him. A strange photo he thought Mimihim sent, a confession he wasn't planning on making, feelings he barely has the words for. I want to keep you, lock you up in my room. Mimiheim just shrugs. That's fine with me if it's not for too long. He keeps going anyway. Touch you, maybe lick you, and she teases right back, asking if he wants to cut her up and stab her with needles too. Shiro, dead serious, shuts that down instantly. I would never do that. Mimiheim doesn't reject him, doesn't really accept him either, just calls him too cute to be this weird, and lets it happen, unbothered, the way she lets most things happen. Tokyo was also listening to all of this. Not long after, Tarao, one of the sicker kids at the school, someone Tokyo's always been close to, catches her off guard and kisses her, no warning at all. She's more startled than anything, pulls back immediately and runs, not really sure what she's feeling, only that she needs to be somewhere else. Kona gets sick not long after and Tokyo sits with him, holds him, apologizes for pushing too hard earlier. Kona tells him it's fine, that it's natural for people to start liking each other, that it can be confusing at first, but it isn't something to be scared of. One day, you might want to touch and be touched by someone. That's not scary, just new. And Tokyo quietly admits that if that's true, she's finally says the thing she's been circling around for a while, that she wants it to be him, someday, when she's ready. Kona tells her he feels the same. That's the exact moment the intercom cuts in, not for the room, specifically for Tokyo. At night, Taro's condition has suddenly changed. He's asking for Tokyo by name. Tokyo finds him already fading, and Taro asks everyone else to leave the room. When it's just the two of them, he doesn't waste what's left. I'm not going to get better. Tokyo tells him not to say that. Tarao says it again anyway because he doesn't have time left to be gentle about it. The last words he said, Tokyo, listen to me. You have to go, run away, this place is dangerous. And that's it for today. I will meet you in some time.